Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Forsyth County Connections, coming to you from the studios of Cable 2 through the courtesy of the good folks at the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System, and we appreciate their hospitality and so glad that you could be with us on this show. We have a lot of great information coming your way, and where we want to start is talking about something that everybody seems to be asking about, and sometimes there's a misconception about it. We brought back a returning visitor who's been on the show before. Marissa Adams is Division Director for Medicaid Services with the County Department of Social Services. Welcome back.
I'm glad to be back.
Before we get started too deep onto the expansion and things, just remind everybody, what is Medicaid? Who gets Medicaid? Not necessarily the new expansion, but the basics.
Sure. Medicaid is an entitlement program that is based upon income and other eligibility categories. Not to be confused with Medicare, which is also an entitlement program. However, is only eligible to individuals who are deemed disabled or age 65 and above.
Right. Now, let's talk about the expansion. What is Medicaid expansion all about?
Well, Medicaid expansion, thankfully, in the state of North Carolina has been implemented as beginning December 1.
Right.
Historically, individuals the ages of 19 through 64 did not qualify for Medicaid coverage because they either did not have children in their home under the age of 18, or they were not deemed disabled, blind, or aged.
But now all of a sudden they're in the pool and they're available to get this. But the big question is, I guess somebody's watching this, they say, well, it sounds good, and I'm glad they've expanded it, but is it difficult to apply?
It is very easy to apply, and there are 4 ways that an individual could apply for Medicaid.
Okay.
One being in person at 741 North Highland Avenue, Winston-Salem, 27101. Okay. They could also mail a paper application that can be obtained from the ncdhhs.nc.gov website and mail it in to that same address.
Right, so come in person or mail it in. Then you said, what, 2 more ways?
Yes, by phone. You can call into the agency, that is 336-703-3803 to request a phone interview.
Okay.
And the most convenient and easiest way is to apply online through ePass, and that is www.epass.nc.gov.
I don't know how you remember all this stuff. All right, now look, what's the impact having on your agency? Because y'all were already kind of swamped before. What's this going to do?
Well, since December 1, we have received 1,150 new Medicaid applications.
Gosh.
That is usually a number of what is received in a month. So as part of preparation, graciously, the county manager and commissioners granted me additional positions. So we are hiring and training. We have staff and training now to kind of handle the influx.
Meet that demand.
To meet the demand. So, but we're all hands on deck. I may even process an application or 2. So.
Well, what about we talk about the impact on the agency. What do you think? What impact do you think this is all going to have on the community? That the expansion of Medicaid, how is that going to impact the community, help the community?
I think it's a win-win for all involved. The individual that receives Medicaid will now have the ability to attend to those physical, mental health, substance abuse needs that they did not have access to, that may have prevented them from living a successful, purposeful life. So those individuals can address those needs and say maybe even work themselves out of homelessness.
Right. So you're knocking down some barriers for people, aren't you?
Yes, we are. As far as the commerce side of Medicaid expansion, that means increased people going to the doctor. So that's going to be increased foot traffic to the doctor's offices, the pharmacies, and all other things that pertain to medical care.
People getting medical care that they need, that maybe they've gone without. I just think what you're doing is great. Again, give us one more time. I think there was a website in case people want to know for more information. What was that?
That is ncmedicaid.nc.gov.
Okay. Marissa, I know you're busy going from one thing to another and trying to deal with all this, but I appreciate what you're doing. It's going to make a lot of difference for a lot of people. Thanks for everything.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
Every year, 4.5 million young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 visit the ER.
It's every parent's nightmare.
Umergency gives you all the tools you need to quickly and effectively manage your family's emergency. Umergency provides instant access to vital resources, customized to your student's campus and local community, digital consent form, and built-in urgent alert button. Umergency gives you peace of mind when you need it most. Download your Umergency app now.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections, and we have a return visitor to the show, and we're always glad when she can spend a few minutes with us. Jessica Hunter is Income Maintenance Supervisor for the Forsyth County Department of Social Services. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me again.
You emailed me and said, let's talk about card skimming, EBT, and that kind of stuff. Before we get into that, let's remind folks what SNAP is and what an EBT card is.
Okay, so SNAP, or as most people think of them, they are food and nutrition benefits or food stamps. The EBT card is the benefit card that they'll receive to utilize those benefits.
Okay.
So it has all of whatever their allotment is stored on that card, and they can take that to the store, or now they can go, if that vendor does online purchases, they can use it online as well.
All right, now, you said something to me in the email about card skimming. What is that?
So you can think of it the same way if you had your debit card, and if you took your debit card to the store and someone was able to get your information off of your card. So it's like they copy your information from your card and they're able to clone it onto another card and use it online or for other purchases.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I mean, how often does this happen? Is this widespread across the country and the county?
It has been since the pandemic. Around October of last year is when we first started noticing it in other states. Then it started showing up here in Forsyth County, so in High Point, and as recently here in Winston-Salem.
Well, now how can I protect myself if I've got this card and I think everything's cool and I go into the store and it's been skimmed or scammed or whatever? I mean, how do I protect myself?
Similar to your bank account, you want to make sure that you're checking your EBT account often. When you go to the store, it's nothing wrong with looking at those point of sale machines that you wipe your card and just double checking to make sure that it looks okay. Sometimes they'll have an extra piece attached to the machine, and that's how you can tell there may be a cloning device there. So there's nothing wrong with inspecting that, but then also just staying on top of your EBT card.
Now, are there any other helpful tips or resources that card users should know about?
Yes, they can also, if you're not one who does purchases online, then if you go onto the mobile app for EBT, you can definitely stop any online purchases, any out-of-state purchases. You can change your PIN number frequently so that way, if they did even clone it, they wouldn't be able to use it because they don't have the current PIN. But just that, making sure they get that mobile app, or at least calling the phone number on the back of their EBT card.
Now, what if benefits are stolen? I mean, just flat out stolen through this? Is anything can be done to actually assist the victim of the skimming?
So what we're encouraging everyone to do now is if you do check your EBT card and you do realize that your benefits were stolen, you need to file a police report. So they do need to file a police report, and then from there they can contact the local agency or local social services, and we can gather information to see about possibly reinstating those benefits. The state of North Carolina is still working with the USDA because this is a new thing for EBT benefits,
right,
to be skimmed or stolen. So they are still developing the policy around it and the plans of how to try to help those victims. I
just want to interject one quick thing here, that when we talk about filing a police report, folks, don't call 911. Even though I know that this is an issue that's an emergency for you, it's not what 911 considers an emergency, so call the non-emergency police number for that. Are there any other scam alerts that EBT card users should know about?
Very similar with their email, just making sure that if anybody receives an email or a phone call asking for their EBT card number, that should be a red flag that that's a scam. No one from social services or EBT will ever call and ask for your card number or your PIN.
Yeah, because somebody from your office would already know all that information, so that should be...
We do have access to it, but we would not call and ask you for your card or your PIN number.
All right, now very quickly, before time runs out, in general, since all this mess is going on, are EBT cards safe and efficient?
In general, yes. They are very safe, very efficient. Same way with your bank account. You just want to make sure that you have the app so that you can check it frequently, change your PIN if need to, or request a new card if you need to.
My bank account's safe because there ain't anything in it. Now where can we get more information?
You can get more information by going to the Forsyth County website and social services. You can also go to North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, and they have information there for food and nutrition and card skimming.
Jessica, thanks for all you do and for you and your team and helping so many people, and I hope you'll come back sometime.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
So, I keep hearing how things are getting back to normal. Really? When am I back to normal? Is this normal? Was this ever normal? Then I figured out. So much has changed. No wonder nothing feels normal. But here I am, still standing. A brand new edition of me. For some great tips on finding your new normal, visit yourlifeyourvoice.org. You look familiar.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections, and I'm so glad to speak with this first-time visitor to the show, lovely Tracy Mays. She's Senior Human Resource Consultant with the Forsyth County Department of Human Resources by way of Lynchburg and, where'd you say, Mississippi? Or
Yes.
You've been all over.
I have.
But we're glad you're here anyway, and thanks for doing this interview.
Thanks for having me.
This is kind of an appropriate question since we mentioned that you moved around. You have a sense of how things are done in other states. What attracted you to want to work for Forsyth County government?
So I think what appealed most to me about working for Forsyth County was the excellent retirement benefits and a sense of job security that you don't necessarily have with the private sector.
Right. What are some of those advantages and benefits? You're talking about sort of security. What do you like about what you're doing?
Well, it's a variety of things that I do with my job. So between recruitment and just the people at the county, it's just a variety of different things I get to do within the county.
And I'm glad you mentioned recruitment because I want to explore that for a minute. What kind of recruitment efforts do you all in your department do to attract potential new team members? I mean, how do you go about doing that? Is it just, well, we're going to stick something in the classified ads, or I mean, what do you do?
So our recruitment strategy, we attract potential new team members by, we have a proactive approach. So we incorporate on-the-spot hiring events for immediate talent evaluation. We do college fairs, high school.
Oh, that's good. So even at the high school level, you're kind of letting kids know what it's like and get them started thinking about maybe going into various things. Now, of course, these programs, when we tape them, they will air. They don't air this same week necessarily. There might be a little delay. So because of that, I'm not going to ask you to say, hey, Tracy, give me an example of 2 jobs that are open this week. We can't do that. But I do want to say, are there typical types of jobs that usually seem to be open, or jobs or careers with the county that seem to be available to people, just in case some high school or college folks are listening?
Yeah, there's lots of different jobs within the community. So we have EMTs, nurses.
Always need those.
Yes, always. HVAC, maintenance, senior social workers, income maintenance caseworkers.
Yeah.
It changes weekly, or daily actually. So there's just a variety.
Yeah. Now, what if you had to make a pitch to, let's say, a high school senior walked in here right now and sat down, which would be kind of unusual because we don't have another chair. But if they just walked in and said, all right, I'm thinking of 2 or 3 things I might want to do with my career, my life, Ms. Mays, what do you look at them in the eye and say, what do you say to them about coming here?
I would say that Forsyth County is an excellent place to work, that we have a robust benefit package with competitive pay, and that we have dedicated employees that really work hard and they make a difference within our community.
And in your department and others, it's kind of like a big family, isn't it?
It is.
I appreciate that. Is there a website other than just the general county websites or anything people should know about just to keep up with things and what might be available or job openings? What should people do you think?
Just go to our website at FCNet, Forsyth.
Okay, and look into that, and that'll tell them what's available now and currently. Tracy, thanks for all you're doing to help get people on the road, getting good careers, working with the high school kids and the college kids and letting them know. That brings up a whole new crop of folks so that maybe they'll be sitting here either in your chair or my chair in the future talking about what's going on in the county. Thanks for everything, Tracy.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Do you like staying up late? If so, we have the perfect position for you.
Ready to make a difference while the world is sleeping.
Join our team. The safety of others in your control.
We are one team.
Your legacy starts here.
Starting pay up to $68,000. So come visit us at gofcsonc.org.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see.
DEPR.
Mental illness doesn't show up on a scale.
Bipolar?
Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment.
Anxiety. I thought so.
If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
Back now on Forsyth County Connections. Thanks for staying with us. I always say we have great guests, interesting guests. Now, this guest is going to eventually talk to us about something called mixed doubles, but it has nothing to do with tennis. So let's go meet him right now. David Brown is co-founder and director of DENT Creative Reuse Center and Art Lab. Good to see you, sir.
Nice to be here, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. All right, so I know people are watching. I'll get to the mixed doubles thing in a minute. What is DENT, and what do you mean by Creative Use Center?
A creative reuse center is, if you think about the way the Restore functions for Habitat for Humanity, it's basically a thrift store model. Donations come into an organization, a nonprofit like us, and those things get resold for next to nothing, but generates enough income to be able to pay the bills, and then you do programs to help support that. And we don't have a full space. We're not quite there yet.
Not quite.
Yeah.
Looking that way.
Looking that way. That's one of our options. We have a few.
So you pretty much thought there was a need for this. I mean, is that why you created it? How did you know that?
The oldest and the largest in the United States is right here in North Carolina, and it's in Durham. It's called the Scrap Exchange, and it was started by 5 artists who needed materials to do their work. And it's 30 years old, and they've got a budget of over $1 million now.
Wow. All right. Now, a minute ago, I said we were going to talk about something called mixed doubles. What is this all about?
Mixed doubles is, we call it a celebration of the community for the terminally curious. And it's a really fun, exciting, educational, playful program. This is season 2 that we're going to open up on January 25th. And what we do within an hour was we bring in 2 presenters on various topics to do no more than 20 minutes each on the said topic. And then there's a combined Q&A at the end by the audience. And that's where I really encourage them to try to stump the presenters.
That's real creative, but I mean, now how do you go about selecting topics and how do you go about selecting presenters?
It's kind of interesting in season 1 to give you an idea of the pairings, and that's where the magic takes place too. It was French cooking and punk rock, where you might not go to a lecture on either one of those, but put them together and you're there in the front seat.
That's wild.
So it's really interesting, but it's really our belief that everybody is creative, everybody has some level of expertise, some skill set, some knowledge base that if asked will share with the community. So we pull from all walks of life. We had belly dancers, we had college professors, we had extension service agents, and we mash them all up together in this crazy little mix.
Wow.
That's really a lot of fun.
Are you putting any of this on, doing webcasting or putting it on YouTube? I know I was just wondering.
That we were asked about that, and I inquired through the library, and it looks as though they have 2 TV-ready cameras, and we're going to attempt it this season.
I think that'd be great. Well, you mentioned the library. Why now? People say, "Well, wait a minute. What does this have to do with the library? Why partner with the library?"
Well, the library's for good reasons. An incredible staff, an incredible organization. They have nice facilities, and it's a nice central location. Season 1, we did 4 sessions at the library, and then we did the remaining 3 out of 4. COVID shut us down in the last one at SECA. So I came to Winston-Salem in 1999 to be the chief curator at SECA.
All right. Now, can anyone suggest topics?
Absolutely. And we actually hand out index cards and whatnot at the events. And one of the 4 coming up this season was suggested by the audience in season 1.
All right. Now, well, that leads me to the last question. How can people learn more about the series and get involved with it?
They can go to our website and also Facebook and Instagram and the libraries as well.
Right.
We're trying, working hard to get the information
What's
out.
the website?
The website is www.dentws.org. And this is a free event as well.
Okay. DENTWS.org. I want to make sure I got that down. David, I think that's fascinating.
Yeah. It's great. It's great fun. And we're looking forward to season 2. The library has been inundated with interest from season 1, and that was 2020.
Well, we want more people to go to the library. Now they're going to do it.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
David, thanks for doing that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Feeling unsafe? Help is one tap away with Urgent Alert. Upload your insurance card and your medical consent form so your family can speak to medical staff. Download your emergency now while it's still free, before stuff happens.
We worked our whole lives to save, just to spend it on time. With these two, filling buckets of memories. This is what makes life, life. Yet how much of life are we willing to miss out on? Because even mild hearing loss doubles our risk of dementia. Yes, dementia. Good hearing health is essential to staying engaged and doing what we love. Hear well and stay vital. Get a hearing health check every year.
Back now on this edition of Forsyth County Connections, coming to you from the studios of Cable 2 through the courtesy of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System, and we appreciate their hospitality. Now, this is the last segment in this show, and we have saved this last segment for a star player in the county. He is our county manager, Dudley Watts, who's been on this show before, and you've seen him on county commissioner meetings, that kind of thing. Welcome back, sir.
Yep, glad to be here.
Let's talk about highlights from the past year. Now, you rolled out what was called ARPA funds, so remind everybody what those funds were and how you used them.
Yeah, and that's been over a couple of years, but it's American Recovery Plan Act funds. Those are the federal funds that came down post-COVID to try to deal with COVID issues and all the impacts of COVID. And so we went through a process, opened it up to the community, got ideas about what kind of programs we could fund, took them to the board, took them to some subcommittees, put together teams to rank them. And so we funded 41 different initiatives up out of that, and those are underway, and they're everything from a kind of a study of pre-K to new facilities over the Behavioral Health Center to Arts Council funding.
Really made a difference in trying to bring us out of COVID, out of that whole pandemic era, and put us on a good footing. Now, you devised a strategy for maximizing the opioid fund over this past year. How did that work?
So that was another stream of revenue that came out of what is both a tragedy and a crisis around the addictive nature of opioids and the settlements, the legal settlements that were ultimately approved with a number of different companies. And the state of North Carolina, to its credit, put together a great program. Gordon Watkins in our office was a statewide leader. Our county attorney was a statewide leader in that effort. And that we basically are going to get about $36 million over the next 18 or 20 years to try to combat the opioid epidemic in this community, which is still an issue. Today, our EMS folks will probably run 4 to 5 overdose calls.
Oh, wow.
It is that prevalent and that much around us, and so we're going to combat it from a prevention, from a treatment. We're going to try to maximize those use of dollars, and so a lot of the efforts this year were around trying to understand the crisis and put together a good program to address it.
This year, you also authorized changing management for the county animal shelter. How did that go?
Yeah, that was a process where Forsyth Humane Society had been running that shelter in what I thought was a great collaborative kind of effort for a number of years, and it worked very well for a number of years. I don't know all the factors that went into the decision by Forsyth Humane Society to basically came to us and said that it was going to take a substantial more amount of money to continue to do that. The board looked at that, weighed its options. Forsyth Humane Society is still active in this community and has a shelter over on Country Club. We run the shelter that's off University Parkway now. We started that up in April right. 1st, and we hired a great leader. I think she's been on this program, Kristen Briggs, and all indications are to me is that the partnerships are getting rebuilt and things are good, and folks feel like they're getting served, and it's a good thing.
Well, also during the year, we heard about some kind of relocation of 911 services. So I think people were kind of upset at first, saying, wait a minute, what does that mean? Can I not call 911 anymore? Right. What does that mean? Yeah,
so in this community, there are two what's called primary public safety answering points. The city has one and we have one. We have for years, and this, Lee and I had kind of worked through this, devised really, does it make sense? And ultimately they may be combined, but to co-locate them side by side makes a lot of sense. It was triggered by the city needing a suitable space to move them to, and so it worked out. That project's under construction. We had to finish out and move out some stuff first, but the city's going to be under construction here shortly on their facility in our public safety building.
Make things a lot more efficient.
I think so, and literally you'll have in the same room city 911, county 911, or same facility, city 911, and then the law enforcement, sheriffs has a dispatch function, and that dispatch function is embedded in the city's 911 center.
That's right. That's good. That's good.
It'd be good.
Well, I appreciate you bringing us up to speed on sort of reviewing what the year had in store, and we'll get you back early next year and talk about looking ahead. Take the crystal ball out and see where we go from that, Dudley. I appreciate it. Absolutely. And I also appreciate everybody watching this edition of Forsyth County Connections. You see that, of course, up on screen the whole time, so you can go to connectwith.forsythcountync.gov. I also want to thank TJ and Kevin here at Cable 2 for their help, Jeff Fabrizio, our stellar editor, Ed McNeil, our executive producer, and the other executive producer happened to have been sitting with me just now, Dudley Watts. For all of us here at Forsyth County and the Cable 2 studios, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next time.